I remember being like 10 years old and I'd answer the phone. You know, when you're a kid and you get to start to answer the phone. And you're like, oh, you live here too. And you're like, okay, I'm going to answer the phone. I'd answer the phone and be like, hello. And be like, hello, Henry. So about that work today, I was like, I'll go get my dad. And I was like, and then my dad would laugh and he was like, yeah, that's my 10-year-old son.
Fuck, that's awesome.
All right, so we're back for a reheat. Like I feel blessed. I mean, I've been here before.
Hell yeah.
You know, I trimmed my nose hairs for this. Like, I don't know. That's how special this is. That's how special I feel.
That's awesome. You don't trim. People don't know this, but you don't trim your nose hairs for anyone.
No, dude. I mean, I almost shaved my shoulders, but I didn't do it. But I was like that close.
God damn it.
You feel special.
Is that why your shoulders look so broad?
That's how I gauge this shit. Yeah, that's how I gauge the importance of what we're doing.
Okay. Yeah. What's peak importance? What's the highest area to shave for importance?
You know what? I shave my head because I shave my head not by design, but because I have to. But if I shave my face, I look like a smiley face on a thumb. So I look like I have no hair whatsoever. But I need to have, people are like, oh, you're growing a beard. I'm like, no, I'm actually just trying to not look like a face on a thumb. You know?
It's a big thumb. My wife thinks you look like, do you watch Game of Thrones? No,
I used to, I mean, I used to watch it, but kind of grew out of it. It was like a sci-fi soap opera.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. It was like, so who's this and who's that and who's fucking who? And like, you know.
Right. But there's a group of people that eat people.
Oh, I like cannibals.
They're called wildlings. There's like different group, like tribes in that area, in like this area, and one of them are just like these super tall, bald guys who eat people.
Really?
It's like, well, that's Nate. Those are his ancestors.
You know what? I love that. You know, the first, I remember being in like junior high and being fascinated by Jeffrey Dahmer. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like, I don't know why, but I subjected myself to like learning all about him because it's horrible what he did, but it's like fascinating where someone's mind can go.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You know, like, I mean, I've got like mustard in my refrigerator. He had like heads.
I know. Fucking hell.
That's fucking crazy.
Should we hit Sergio has to do an intro first.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, hey, what are we doing? Are we doing
Do you have the thing going? You have the thing going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hit record just so I didn't have to.
All right.
We already caught some gems. So.
Oh, God.
So the intro's going to start 5 minutes in.
So what we did with Ian, so whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. At least we didn't pay for kids to go to college.
I know. And we started off with cannibalism, so it's only going to get fucking crazier.
Okay, so
right.
So what are you guys doing? I'm curious about you guys too. It's not just a one-way interview. What are you guys working on?
Painting and shit. Here, let's do Sergio's intro first. I'm assuming he did something. I'm assuming he looks like he worked on something.
Why? Because he shaved his face and stuff. It's all clean.
Because he's like got soundboard set up and his phone out. So I know he's gonna introduce this and then we'll fucking go for it.
All right. It's your floor.
Yeah, floor. Sergio nailed. You got to nail the dismount.
Make sure it's awkward first.
Okay.
Check. Welcome to opening day of the new Waiting to Dry season. Stepping up to the plate is a real MVP. Grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks because this show is going to be a real home run.
Oh my God. What's my intro song? God. Oh, that was good. Wow. Thank you for baseball. Anyway.
Do you have an intro song you would like to play every time you'd enter a room?
closing time.
Closing
like something like that.
the wrong song.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a little difficult on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what I thought was really cool about what you guys did was you guys advertised this and then on Instagram more so, and then people say like ask a question.
Right.
So I thought that was actually really cool because it's like rather than we just like talk out our ass, like which we're good at.
Yeah,
like,
we're all
what are
talking
some of
out
the
of our
questions?
ass.
I think Sergio's got some questions. Let's go through like what. Ooh, wow, that's a sound
Laser.
effect.
That's the new.
Yeah.
Should
Also,
we just jump right into
just a
questions
fun-
then?
Let's just do it. Fuck it.
fun fact: when he says "talking out of our ass," that's not like a metaphor.
dude.
We're literally butts to mic. Just
Oh wow, you're really on top of that. There we go.
I have one job. I got to do it right.
Oh god, that stinks.
All right.
so, yeah, we had a shitload of questions. Oh, by the way, thank you for returning.
Yeah. This is Nate Van
You
Dyke.
actually farted.
Our guest is Nate Van Dyke, by the way.
Oh thank God you can't smell this podcast.
Yeah, but in the future we'll have smell-o-vision.
Oh
and
my
then,
God, it'll be a scratch and sniff if Instagram gets on that.
yeah, get on it, Instagram. Hey up, Zuckerberg.
Someone wants to know when you'll start drawing horses. Have you drawn horses?
Oh, I fucking hate drawing horses.
Why is that?
So my horses look like giant retarded dogs. So I can't.
I've heard this before.
Yeah. So I can't, like, the thing with like a dog and like a horse's legs and the way that they go in a way that that doesn't make sense to me. Like the way you look at the horse's hind legs, they look like giant fucking like dogs that would be in like Hellboy movie or something, you know? And I cannot draw horses. If people can draw them like galloping on beaches, I can't do that. I hate drawing dogs, cats, horses, and children.
Children.
I know, children. I have to throw children in there because I'm like give them like square jaws and shit. Like Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes did not have a square jaw, but I will give a fucking 5-year-old a square jaw. You know?
Well, I mean, you were talking earlier about you being a 10-year-old. Maybe you're just drawing yourself.
Oh, dude, I'm
exactly.
10 times 40, bro. 10 times 4. Sorry.
Shit. Last time we were here, it was your birthday too.
Oh, that was sad. It was, right?
What? Sad?
Why was it
I
sad?
thought it was good.
It was good, from what I remember. No, I think I was talking to a friend of mine about getting older, and we all do naturally, but I think it's one of those things where as you get older, you start to realize how quickly it's going, you know, not to get all fucking like huggy and stuff, but you start to realize how actually it speeds up, because when you're 24 years old, you're like 40, fuck it, I'll be dead by then. You know?
Yeah.
Not that you're going to be dead, but you're just kind of like, you don't have that reality. You think you're going to have a fucking like 3 different color Lamborghinis and all this shit. You know, you're not. You really aren't. Like, especially if you're an artist, good fucking luck. You know?
Yeah, that's not even an option.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're David Cho or some shit.
Oh, we'll get back to that.
But yeah, I mean, you hit 40. Well, how long have you been in kind of this art game or whatever you want to call it?
So I actually, I like how you're taking a sip of beer after you ask your question. That's pretty good. Well designed. So when I was in high school, I was like, oh, I'm going to do, I wanted to play professional baseball. Clearly that didn't happen.
Were you pretty athletic?
I was pretty athletic. I could fill a good jock strap, like that was pretty good, but
Those seem like two different things.
well, it's part of it, right? But no, I played a lot of baseball. I was like the Mark McGuire. I was like batting fourth, playing first base, hitting stuff, hitting balls and stuff like that. And I played football one year. I looked like I got lost on my way to the fucking basketball court. Like, what the fuck's that kid doing there? I would do all the dunks and all that stuff, like, and then they tried to get me on basketball, and I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna go home. Like, I'd fuck up some rims, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go home.
Wait,
But I knew I was gonna
see.
draw art. I knew I was gonna draw for a living, and I started after high school. In high school I got a bunch of scholarships. And I'm like, all right, I don't really want to do this whole art school thing. I kind of like the self-taught thing, like find your own voice. And I turned down some scholarships, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna end up doing construction after high school for 2 years. Like, I'll just find myself and all that, pretty shit. And I ended up getting hired when I was like 20, right around 20, 2 years out of high school, to do like the artwork for the original. Oh, I totally heard that. That's cool. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Hey, you're not left out. There you go. We're all family here.
Yeah.
But no, I just wanted to do art. I'm not like a know-it-all or anything like that, but I just wanted to do art and turned down some scholarships. And I got hired doing a .com company where I would do,
What year you think this was?
this was, Jesus Christ, I'm going to date myself. So I graduated high school in 97, so this was 99.
Damn.
So I got hired by a .com company in Sausalito, and it was called learn2.com.
So that's 30 years, is that right?
Fuck you. No, I'm not
wrong?
that fucking old.
No,
That's
20 years.
dude.
I was like, fuck you.
Fuck you.
You were doing this when you were
I'm gonna
10?
smack your ass, dude. Jesus Christ, dude. No, but so I just did it. I'm like, oh, so they're paying me all this money, and I didn't want to show them how quickly I could do the artwork. So I was like, I'm going to work from home.
Right.
And they're like, well, everyone here works in the office. And I'm like, F that, I'm working from home.
Right.
And I'm like a ballsy 20-year-old. Like, I had bigger balls when I was 20 than I do now.
You told us about the jockstrap. We know.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, dude, it was a fucking hammock. But it was, that was my first real art job. And I just realized that I need to do art for a living.
Right.
And now, fast forward 20 plus years, and you're like, why the fuck did I do this?
Is there any fucking like secret you would tell 20-year-old you about art to like fast forward your shit?
Be a dentist.
Dentist, God. That's sad.
No, the hard thing about, and like on a very serious level, the hard thing about art is you lose your passion.
Right.
And now it becomes like, how do you pay your rent?
Huh.
So you lose your passion, and you're like, you get really good at it. It's like, oh, I'm going to draw. I can do this for a living, and I'll be, I'll have a fucking yellow Lamborghini. It's like, no, it's actually, it becomes very difficult because it's especially, what people don't realize, it's like you hang out at home and you're drinking beer and you're drawing, and you got, waiting to drive podcast plane.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but the drive is the hardest thing to find. Like the hardest thing I experience in art is not only the fact that we hate everything we do, the hardest thing is to actually start. I hate starting.
Really?
I hate starting a piece.
Really? I love that part.
No, my favorite part of a piece? Signing it, because it means I'm done.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, you took a dark road, my friend.
Fuck, dude. Like, I need. Are you Big Dipper or Little Dipper? Because I need a hug.
Bring it in here.
But no, it's. I'm not trying to dispel. Like, I love what I do, but it's just there's times where it's like you get despondent about like relationships,
right.
Like finances, health, whatever the fuck it may be, and you're like, oh, I need to work so I can make money, and then you're
right.
like, it's the last thing you want to do. So everyone thinks that you like just become an artist, and all of a sudden you like, cross this fucking golden bridge, and you're like set. It's like, and struggling, you're not fucking capped. You don't have fucking health insurance. You're like just squeezing by, that kind of shit. It's like there's no saying, like they call it a starving artist. They don't call it a starving dentist.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I don't know if there's any other career where that's kind of like a common
built in that you're starving.
The crazy thing about a career is like you could go and be a a veterinarian. Like, oh, I'm going to go to school to be a veterinarian. You're like, cool. You might have to move to, say, Kentucky, but you can be a veterinarian. You can go to art school and be a quote-unquote artist, but there is zero security when you get out of school. It's not like, you do cool shit in fucking coffee cups.
Right.
Like, you don't really, there's no guarantee on art.
Yeah.
And it is literally like jumping off a fucking boat. Like, there's no guarantee on it.
Do you think that, like, the outside, like the financial burden and all those outside is the reason it kind of like gives you this dark mindset?
The thing with art is you can't not do it. Like, I could very well not stock shelves at a grocery store. I'd be like, fuck you. Here's your fucking apron. I'm out. But with art is like, you have to do it.
Right.
You can't, like, the thing I've always said about art is it chooses you. You don't choose it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm, collecting, cans and recycling them, but I'm saying there's no paycheck every 2 weeks for the most part for what we're doing as freelancers, freelance artists. There's no guarantee, and it's just kind of a hope and a prayer in a lot of ways.
Do you think, I was thinking about this the other day, I forget, there's like a test on the shows, on the show Star Trek, where it's like a test set to fail. I forget what the fuck it's called. I wrote it down.
The Kobayashi something.
Yeah, Kobayashi. I forget. But it's like,
that sounds terrible.
But it's like this test to teach you that no matter what you do, you're gonna fail. And it kind of made me think about art and like,
dude,
this idea that
makes me not want to get up in the morning.
This idea that like what I was thinking was like, is there any version of honor for pursuing something that like, unless you're super lucky, you're going to struggle your entire life to pursue? Is there some version of like honor in that, of still going and saying like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to stock shelves. I am going to grind it out in this passion of mine that I have no control over doing. I just kind of do it.
I've heavily discussed this with multiple friends. I think it's actually, what I'll say this is, I mean, aside from like talking about, you don't choose art chooses you. What I'll say is that, there's, like I said, with like you could be a veterinarian, you're going to be a veterinarian. But the hard thing with the art is like, I'll be in bed at night and just laying in bed and thinking, like, I could be like, oh, I'm in a great mood, whatever, I did some great art. And then I'm thinking, laying in bed, like, I'm so tired. And then I started thinking about, like, I'm going to go fucking broke. I own a fucking health insurance. What am I doing? The thing with art is anybody can say they're an artist. And I don't know if I touched on this with the last podcast. And one of the things I love and hate about Picasso is he made everybody an artist.
I know, I hate that.
So Picasso, like, does some amazing work, but it's also kind of like, it made everyone a fucking artist.
Right.
Not everyone's a fucking veterinarian. Like, oh, do you play baseball? It's like, yeah, I fucking went to the batting cages yesterday. No, you're not a baseball player, okay? Right. But no, you scribble on napkins like, oh, I'm an artist.
Yeah.
You do a couple circles.
Not only is everyone an artist, but everything is art. That's like,
everything's fucking art.
It's now. Like, oh, everything is art and everyone's an artist. And what the fuck? Like, you literally cut the legs up from underneath any artist by doing that.
No, it ruined it. But there's no, like, name me one profession that is different from art where it's like you can just call yourself an artist. I mean, you can call yourself a writer or something like that.
Right.
But it is such it's a dumpster fire that, like, anyone that fucking draws on a napkin is like, oh, I'm an artist.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That was something else I was thinking about recently. Just like the idea of who gets to define what's good or not. Right? It's like,
who the fuck is that person? Who says that? Who says purple's the new black?
Right.
Who the fuck actually says that? Who pushes the button and says, like, purple's the new black this season?
Right.
So every girl out there is buying a purple dress.
Yeah.
Who the fuck pushes that button?
Especially in the art world, right? It's like these magical people or like this is the new genius or whatever, and you're like,
Yeah.
who the fuck are you? Like who gets to decide?
Well, it's like so like classic example is like I'm actually far more successful than fucking Vincent Van Gogh.
Right.
That's a horrible thing to say. The guy sold
Suck
one.
it, Vincent. You fuck.
Yeah, fucking.
Just kidding.
He sold. Like, sorry, R.I.P. But no, he sold one painting. And
Right.
he sold it to his brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Shortly before his death, he sold one fucking painting. So you fucking sell something at a flea market and you're like more successful than Van Gogh? Like, and who decided like all
And
of a
that's a
sudden
pity
Van Gogh?
buy too.
Who decided Van Gogh is like, oh hey, we should look at this cat.
Right.
Oh, he's dead. Oh, that's good.
You're right.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. That's the one good thing I think about when I think about like Instagram and those things is that there does seem to be this thing where artists have more ability to kind of dictate who the fuck is good and bad. Right? It's
Yeah,
like,
but who decides that? You know what? I've walked down the street and heard people playing a guitar on the street that are better than fucking 90% of the shit on the radio.
well, have you heard of this guy named Justin Biebs?
Oh fuck! I'm not
Killing it, man.
I'm not a believer.
Damn,
Sorry,
man.
fuck, dude. That's a.
Well, I mean,
yeah. If you have posters of that shit in your room, I judge you differently.
no, not a poster, just kind of like a shrine.
The candles.
Yeah.
A locket around your neck.
But no, what I mean is like, as far as like, I think artists
Oh, sure.
get to artists.
This is where it gets all edited.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say let's get some other questions going.
Oh, okay.
Like cut that shit out.
Yeah.
Vagina.
But what I was
What
trying
are you
to say was that like artists get to kind of put in our 2 cents about who we think are good. You know, like
Yeah, we put that. But who's the one in the clouds that decides that like, you know, this is like all of a sudden, you know, like so like Picasso said he did 80,000 pieces or some shit in his lifetime. I was like,
Right.
yeah, if you fucking scribble a fucking bird on a napkin, I could do that shit too.
Right.
You know, like
yeah,
like not everything you touch is gold, but art is so fucked up that way.
yeah, I totally agree. So we asked a bunch of people a bunch of questions, so we're gonna sprinkle them in like
Yeah, I like
pixie
that.
dust.
I like that.
Do ideas come to you as you draw, or do you have the idea before you start drawing?
That's actually a really good question. I think that's a really it's a smart question because a lot of times I think artists think that you have to have like the grand picture in mind,
Right.
and there is times where I have like the grand picture and it turns out stiff as shit, and then there's times where I'm like I literally start scribbling like a fucking 2-year-old and it turns into something. So I think
Oh, yeah.
I think sometimes the best pieces actually come when you have no effing idea what you're doing.
Huh.
So I don't know about you guys. I mean, you guys do very focused, like sexy ladies and all that stuff. Oh my god! Brr. But like sometimes I think sometimes I have a great idea, and then sometimes I just really don't even know what pen I'm going to use or where what's going what.
Right.
And I think sometimes those turn into the best pieces
Yeah.
when you actually don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I do a lot of drawing on my lunch break at work, and those things are like, sometimes they're like, damn, this is really good. I can't recreate that because,
Yeah, you're fancy with that red pencil. You love that shit.
yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of like
It's just,
you like that lipstick when a dog dick comes out. You just love that red pencil.
damn, I got to think about that for a while. I was deep.
Yeah, that'll change you. You'll go fucking blue after this. But that's a good question. A lot of times, I think there's certain pieces when you're doing a certain project and you go big, you do some sketches, you know what you're doing. But I think there's also ones where you're just kind of sometimes the best pieces are just free flowing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Even my work, there's like a point where I plan it, and then after that, it's like, all right, let's figure this shit out.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you do start doing patchwork. You're like, well, fuck that up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, thank
Hide
God-
that mistake.
Thank God for a whiteout.
Have you actually used whiteout on your pieces before?
I've tasted it.
You tasted it.
You've been to the promised land?
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, it's like Red Wings. It's like, you taste a couple things, but no, like whiteout, like the guy that did Far Side, Gary Larson, he did not know about whiteout. So when he was doing his one panel comic strips, he'd fuck something up and he's like, son of a bitch. And he would crumple it up and throw it away and then start it all over again because he did not know about whiteout.
Or tracing paper either.
Yeah, or
goddamn.
Right?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah, but dude, whiteout. So I actually saw years ago, I went to the Cartoon Art Museum. They had a Calvin and Hobbes display. This is 20 years ago, right? It was here in SF, and they had Calvin and Hobbes, and they had this Sunday Funnies. And I was like, holy shit. I literally looked at people. I'm like, I could fucking yank this and run. I swear to God. I mean, I played fucking tight end. I played tight end in high school. I could fucking knock these bitches out and fucking run. And I'm like, but no, I'd be stealing from fucking, Bill Warrison. But they had these Sunday Funnies, and they were hung at like my fucking belly height. Like they were fucking hung so low, and I'm like, fuck this.
Well, your belly height's like 7 feet.
Yeah, so I had to grab a fucking chair and like scoot it along like fucking 2 feet at a time and look at it like while I'm looking at it right now, and guaranteed over my back, I'm like, oh, that bitch went to the bathroom. I could totally steal this shit. But I knew I'd be stealing from Bill Warrison, so I never did it. But the thing about whiteout is actually on these Sunday Funnies, Bill Warrison used a lot more whiteout than I thought, which is kind of, it's not discouraging or anything, but it's actually kind of like, oh, cool, because it's like he mastered like what he actually wanted as the end result. Because he used a lot of brushwork, but he would use a lot of whiteout, and I was just like, wow. So it was fascinating, but fuck, I still wish I stole one of those.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus.
next time.
Damn, dude. Dude, that girl was like 5'3". I could have taken her out with an elbow.
Well, for sure.
Oh, dude, done.
Easy.
But dude, I would have gone to Guatemala to keep that shit.
Yeah.
But then Bill Warrison, then I could see Bill Warrison in court, and that would be cool. Like, I'd be like, oh, hey, you're Bill Warrison. That's fucking rad. They made a film about trying to find you. That's fucking rad. This was so worth it. I'm in a Guatemala prison. So we got some other questions. What else we got?
Was there one or several artists you looked up to when you were younger that made you want to be an artist or illustrator? And if so, were you able to meet any of them later on?
Okay, this is
meeting your heroes, pretty much.
Yeah, which can be kind of devastating in ways, but also like it's a good question, and I grew up. God, kids these days, they're not gonna know. Like, oh my God, that sounds so cool on the mic. Even when you try and
we're not even drinking. I just keep opening cans.
Oh my God, those LaCroix waters are so fucking good.
Yeah, sparklies.
But no, this I used to when I was a kid, I used to go to comic book conventions because all I wanted to do was draw comic books.
Right.
Like I'd rather look at like Batman and Spider-Man than like the Louvre. I'm like, well, fuck that. I'm like, it's not Spider-Man, it's not Batman.
Right.
And so what I used to do as a kid was I would go to comic book conventions, and I was like 14, 15, like I was doing comic book samples, as they would call them, and showing them to like editors and stuff. Meanwhile, I'm thinking like I'm getting, like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm 15. What am I going to get abducted and thrown in a van and like, you're going to draw comic books? Like, I can't fucking work. I'm still in fucking high school, like, but I'm thinking like they're going to like, oh, I'll fucking take candy out of your fucking truck. I'll fucking go with you to comic book land. But I met a lot of my heroes that way, and it actually really encouraged me to draw because I always wanted to draw comic books. And it really encouraged me to draw in that vein. And the thing with comic books is what people don't realize is like, same thing with, this is a bit of a stretch, same thing with death metal musicians. They're fucking amazing musicians. If you look at the drummers and the guitarists, it's like good fucking luck doing that
For sure.
any other way. And it's like the same thing. So I love death metal, but I also like with comic cars, it's like they actually have to draw everything.
Right.
You have to draw a telephone pole, you have to draw perspective, you have to draw this, you have to draw that.
Right.
So a lot of by not going to art school, my education was actually comic books, really, and like doing samples and trying to get into comic books. And I ended up working at Top Cow Studios for a while and like hanging out with some of my heroes. And it's just like, I mean, you can't imagine that as, a 20-year-old.
For sure.
It's like going to LA and like, oh yeah, not doing construction. I'm going to go do this and like hang out with my heroes. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like if you're, all of a sudden you're in a, you're Jason Newsted and you're in Metallica and you're like, what the fuck am I doing in Metallica?
Right.
know?
Did you learn a good amount from being around them, or was it just kind of?
I did. I learned a lot. I learned, I was also kind of a little checked out because, I mean, I'm 20 years old. I had this go-to because we used to go to bars and I couldn't get into the bar because I wasn't 21. So I'd purposely hit my head on the doorway and people are like, oh, fuck, let that guy in. So I would actually get in like by just hitting my head on the doorway purposely. But I mean, hanging out with
height.
I'm just, because of my height, I'm just hanging out with all these heroes. I'm like, just act like you don't know, fucking your height and just hit your head.
I was wondering why your head is so dented.
Oh my God, dude, I got scar tissue for days, dude. If I get like Red Hot Chili Peppers made like a song about it, like it's amazing.
About your scar tissue specifically?
Scar tissue, that was about me, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I wish you saw. Damn. Well, damn, that's a little fun fact, a little Easter egg for all you listeners out there.
Yeah, right?
Now, every time you listen to that song, just thinking, hey.
Think of me, hit my head in the doorway in L.A.
That's fucking awesome.
I think we got another question.
Have you worked as like with a partner before on a comic book?
I've done comic books before where I would do pencils and inks, someone else would color and stuff like that. I've done stuff like that. But I think with this project, it would be a collaboration of his pencils and my inks, and I'll say that. So, like, I'm probably overstepping my bounds, but that's a potential.
Cool.
I don't want to ruin shit. I don't want to give out who dies at fucking Game of Thrones in the end of it or any of that shit. But yeah,
yeah. Bruce Willis is dead, by the way.
Yeah.
The whole time.
You know what Bruce Willis said about what's that fucking movie?
Sixth Sense?
Sixth Sense?
No, dude.
Unbreakable?
No, the
Die Hard?
Die Hard. You know what? Yes. You know what he said about Die Hard?
What's that?
Bruce Willis is like, people are like always debating. Is like, is Die Hard like a Christmas movie?
Oh,
And Bruce Willis is like,
right?
no. Bruce Willis is like, no, it's a Bruce Willis movie. I'm like, wow, dude. So if Simon and I work together, it's going to be a Nate Van Dyke comic book. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
All right, what else we got? What we got, Sergio?
Do you currently have a passion project you're working on, and what is your idea of a dream project that you would want to do art for?
Answered it.
Oh my God! So that's actually a good one. Yeah, same thing. But I've got like the problem with I think a lot of artists might run into is that the passion projects a lot of times you don't make money in the interim, like where you're actually working on it. You're like, oh great, I'm working on this project for 3 months, and meanwhile I'm fucking broke. I'm
right,
whatever the process. But I've got and this is gonna I think fall into another question that someone asked is I want to make my chimp character Dutch. I just want to build that guy up, but it's so hard to do it when you're just trying to pay the bills. You know, like I'm no rich bitch, but like I'm just trying to like pay the bills forward, but it's like it's hard to actually work on stuff like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it a bit earlier, but the whole like gallery thing and
oh yeah,
that time suck You know,
It's difficult. It's impossible. Not, I don't want to say impossible, but if you're an artist that's like scraping by, like, I'm not saying scraping by like you're broke as a joke, but like just trying to kind of make things happen, it's really difficult. People say flippantly like, "Oh, when's your next solo show?"
right.
And you're like, a solo show takes like, if you do it proper, it's like takes like 5 months.
For sure.
And you're like, and I don't live at home.
Or a year sometimes, depending
Oh
on.
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean that kind of plays into that. Like it's, I mean, I'm doing gallery shows, but it's more of like a kind of a group show where you do like one piece, because I can't invest that much.
Yeah.
You have to. What I say is keep the top spinning. So you have to actually kind of, okay, keep that project going, keep this project going, and keep the other project going. You can't just like say, fuck the world, and I'm gonna just spend 5-6 months on a fucking solo gallery show.
Yeah.
And hope I make money, and the gallery takes half, and I get taxed on it, and this, and I frame it, and all this and that. And it's like there's no money in that, dude.
Yeah.
No.
I think it was Andrew Schultz, I think I was listening to on a podcast. He's a comedian, and he was talking about how like going the traditional route in any like creative means is gonna make you fail, because
You'll go broke, dude.
yeah, because first of all, it doesn't work because it's your competition. If you go the traditional route, is everyone else knows that that's the way to go. So you're all trying to compete for the little bit of money that's there. He's like, try to figure out how to make money doing what you love in a different way that no one's thought of, and then you'll blow up.
Which is impossible. You know what? I'll say this, and I'll go on record saying this, and I've talked to other.
His hand's on a Bible.
Fuck. No, it's on a PBR and my balls. But no, I'll say this, and I mean this, and I know this is a tricky thing to say, but I've said it before to other artist friends. Is you get someone, of course, his name comes up all the time. You get a Banksy. Banksy. Did I say it? Yeah, Banksy. But you get a Banksy and edit that shit right. So you get someone like Banksy. Fuck you, don't laugh. Fuck you. It's my first day of kindergarten. But no, you get someone like he's not necessarily the most amazing artist, but his ideas are ridiculous.
And his marketing is
marketing and ideas are ridiculous. Like there's artists that out there that are far better skilled than Banksy, but his ideas is what sells it, you know? And that's a lot of talk about, like with the art. Like you take a Picasso, and that guy went fucking ridiculous and fucking like, did ridiculous pieces, but it's not, Picasso was originally like a really complicated, like detailed artist that his father made him, turn out to be. And then he said, fuck it. And he just got retarded on it, and he got amazing. And like Banksy is like, he's a very good artist, but his ideas are even better than his art. Right. And that's where the sex is. That's where the art sex is. That's where it gets crazy, because when you start doing, you don't have to do said idea better than anyone, but the idea is what makes it sexy. The
concept is king kind of idea.
The fact that he could actually go to New York and do his New York trip and like do that fucking the Twin Towers with a flower and shit, and like be like, oh yeah, fucking Twin Towers like burning down, and it's like makes it art. It's like, how do you do that? Like that's where the sex is. The sex is not so much in the technique, it's in the idea, it's in the concept. Right. The concept can be like, far better than the execution. The concept. The thing with art is the writing behind the idea. It's not so much like, oh wow, shit, cool, like he fucking those cool looking knuckles and shit. The sex of art is in the writing. The writing, if you're a good writer, you're a good artist. I've actually been told I'm a better writer than I'm an artist by a friend of mine, Hillary Hawken. So it's like the writing is where it originates. that's where the sex comes from.
Yeah.
And that's where Banksy has the sex. His sex is in the writing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Banksy fan, but I totally agree with what you're saying. You know? So, yeah, I was having this conversation yesterday with my buddy Lauren, and we were talking about my thought about art being is just being a language and trying to be good at telling a story through this language, which, you know, is kind of, I don't know, the word language is kind of complicated because you instantly think of actual words, but it's like I'm trying to use random shit to say, you know, like it's more closer to what is it, the Egyptians use the hieroglyphics.
Well, there's language in a wink. There's language in a kind of a little like, like if someone like thinks you're cute or something, you can there's language in body there's language in body language.
Exactly. If you're standing outside of a crowd of people and they all turn around and look at you, that conveys an emotion that they're talking shit about you, you know? So that the ability to explain that through just the image is kind of what us as artists are trying to get proficient at, is being able to say something through human experience and like as a whole, I think, and trying to talk to people through one image in a weird, you know.
Well, no, that actually brings up a great discussion. Is my thing with some of the difficulty with art, and I think both of you will understand clearly, you know, being artists as well, like well-established artists. It's like I draw so I don't have to talk about it.
Right.
Like people are like, "Oh, what the fuck's that about?" It's like, yeah, it's a fucking, you know, it's a chimp with a chainsaw. So I draw a chimp with a chainsaw, but it's not a chimp with a chainsaw. It's a discussion about where we are in this world.
Right.
Like, they don't realize, they think it's just some cool shit that looks like it's in Heavy Metal Magazine.
Right.
But what they don't realize is that this is actually about, like, it's a discussion about where we're at.
Right.
And I'm not a political motherfucker, you know, like we are more so now with where we're at, but it's damn fun. But it's more kind of like, a lot of people don't realize, like, one thing that I actually put a lot of pride into is naming the piece of the artwork.
I agree.
I put a lot of fucking pride into the naming of the artwork.
Yeah.
Because it's like, there's times where I'm like I did a piece the other night. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck to name this. I looked at my phone, I'm like, what day is it? And I just named it the fucking date. I'm like, all right, fuck it. But there's times where I like name the piece where it's actually like, it becomes poetic.
Right.
It becomes a conversation piece, and you can interpret it any way you want, but the way I interpret it is like something that you would not imagine. It's like it might look like a visceral image on the outside, but actually on the inside it's like it's a commentary on something I'm going through or where we are in the world or whatever, you know. And I'm not trying to get all deep and shit, you know?
I mean, I love when a title can literally it's almost like everything became focused.
Shit, my zipper's down. Sorry. Anyway, where were you?
But a title and a piece, when you read the title,
the title can be better than the piece,
or it'll like make it focused. You know, it's like almost like it's a blurry, like you can't figure out what they're trying to say. And reading a title can literally focus the image for you and go like, oh, now I understand so much about this, and now this makes sense, and that makes sense, and everything in the image is it's perfect. Adding to it.
You know what I fucking hate is when people are like, Untitled 73. I'm like, fucking Untitled 73. Like, I want to punch a child at that point. Not literally, but you know, it's like,
the child's got a square jaw. I could take it.
He's like, you could take a knee. Sorry, that's not PETA. Like, no, that's like whatever that is. But
I forget. Yeah.
But it's
CPS.
None of us have kids. We're good.
All right, let's go with another question, Sergio.
I was just gonna say, have either of you guys watched Us yet?
Us?
Yeah,
no.
the Jordan Peele movie. Yeah, I just watched it last night. And
thanks for the invite.
Wow, dude. I had my sleeping bag and everything ready.
Yeah, not cool, man. Not cool.
Well, anyway, Yeah, the movie was cool. I like that there were so many questions that were kind of left open-ended by it, and I kind of don't. I like that he in the movie left it open, but so many people were confused by it that he kind of had to come out and be like, "Oh, this is what the ending meant to me." And I kind of don't like that he did that.
It's just it kind of disparaged like the meaning behind it, right? Like
in a way, yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, so this is what it meant to me, rather than someone saying like, oh, like this might be what it means to me, but what does it mean to you?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Or even the like kids, or I shouldn't say kids, but people nowadays, it seems like they want to be spoon-fed all the answers. So
That's what it was, yeah.
and not put any effort towards trying to figure things out. So it's like, they're like, give me all the answers. You know, like, how about you work this, like, not that much. Just like, think about it maybe for a minute or something like that.
Like sink in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't just instantly want all the answers and want
because it's like
Right.
the thing, like the world we live in with these smartphones and shit is like, you're like, oh, like, who was the baseball MVP in 2012, and like everyone pulls their phone out.
Right.
It's like it fucks with us. Like, I cannot imagine this. Like, imagine being a high school teacher right now, and everyone's got a fucking cell phone, everyone's taking selfies, and everyone's just kind of like, where are you? I fucking missed you. I fucking recess.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, we are getting so digitalized where it fucks us.
That's how you know we're getting old. Because when I watch a World Star Hip Hop video where this kid's like, where a teacher snaps on a kid, I'm like, poor teacher.
For sure.
You feel bad for the teacher, not the kid.
You're like, fuck that little kid. They're like, teacher cussed out kid. You're like, poor teacher.
Yeah.
Just
No, it's terrible.
Yeah. One thing I had was wondering, maybe get you guys' thought on it is like, I've been thinking about. You might need to pull this up.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about recently the idea of talent versus hard work.
Oh my God, that's a huge topic.
Yeah.
And in no way I'm not trying to be a bitch and name names, but it frustrates me sometimes when I realize, like, how much work I put into a piece and how little it essentially gets compensated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being a little whiny bitch or anything like that, but it kills me sometimes when people do like a couple circles and all of a sudden it's like $1,000, or whatever it is.
Have you
like,
been watching my new paintings?
oh my God, dude, you're breaking it down so well. But no, that's actually a really good conversation. It's like, and that's kind of where Picasso comes back in. And I think Picasso opened a lot of doors, but I think it's also kind of where sometimes you see artists that get rewarded for drawing like a child.
We actually pronounce his name Picasso on this show.
Oh, really? Okay. Picasso or something?
Picasso. Gosh.
But no, I think
Apologies.
that's a really good question. I don't think I do a lot of line work, but I don't think necessarily more lines means more value, but I think it's actually a really good,
But what I mean is, like, do you think there's like a born, like, do you think people are born with this ability to be good artists, or have like the attributes to like lend towards being a good artist versus, someone who's like, I can't draw, and then you go like, well, you just have to put in the hours and you're good. Do you think there's like do you think there's talent that is involved?
I think there is. I think there's definitely talent involved. I'm a fourth generation artist on my mother's side.
That's awesome.
So it was like my mom, her mother, and grandmother were all artists.
Did they all do better than Van Gogh?
Yeah, everyone did.
Boom.
Shit. Boom.
Suck
Drop
it, Van Gogh.
the fucking mic. But the other thing is also, what's interesting is my brother, who was born a year and a half or so before me, like, he can't do he was actually really good when we were kids, but he can't draw a stick figure now. So it's like, it's kind of like, I think he showed up and he started doing some stuff. He started doing some like cool stuff with, clay and stuff like that. And then I showed up and my brother was like, well, fuck that. That kid's got it.
Right.
I just looked at just looked at a thing that my dad passed away a while ago, so my parents are gone, but I got these possessions, and it's like these clear buckets of stuff. And one of the, things, there was all these like artwork when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the year of it, but it's like one of the drawings I have that my mom laminated. So you're doing all right when your mom laminates your shit. Like when you're a kid.
Especially like, in like the 90s. It's
dude,
when laminating took effort. Yeah,
when laminating took work. When you had to steamroll that shit.
Yeah.
And it was a drawing of it's like a violin.
Mm-hmm.
Like what fucking kid draws a violin? It's like you don't draw a violin as a kid.
Right.
But I think what happened is like there's something, like I said, I think we were saying earlier, is art chooses you. You don't choose art.
Right.
So like my brother, like is like it didn't choose him, and he's doing fine. He's firefighter doing his thing. But it's like, I think art chooses you, and you have no choice in it. You have no say in it. You have to do it. It's not like, it's like, oh, I wanted to be a dog walker. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. It's like, you want to be a fucking artist. You have to be.
If you ever were the kid that was like, I want to be a dog walker when I grow up.
Fuck,
I mean,
you missed.
Fuck off.
Fuck off, dude. You missed it.
Those are low goals, first of all.
Dude, that's fucking low fruit, dude. That's some low hanging shit. Yeah.
But yeah, because I was thinking about it as like, there seems to be these similarities in artists, right? Where we kind of look around us and are always like noticing things. And there's also like a common sense aspect that I think a lot of artists have where you're trying to it's like a lot of problem solving. So you're trying to figure out how to do something
all the time.
And so if you're not a person who's constantly trying to solve problems and have like these common sense ideas of how to solve those problems, it's like, you're probably not going to be an artist.
You don't think that way. So like an age old, exactly. Like an age old thing was, I think I went to, it was Coney Island. It was, the hot dog joint in Coney Island. And it's where Frank Frazetta met Ellie Frazetta when they were younger. And if memory holds, Frank Frazetta looked at this Ellie Frazetta when they were younger, and he said, she's got really nice ankles. Like he was looking at her fucking feet and being like, those are fucking nice feet.
Right.
And he's not a foot fetishist from what I imagine.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like you walk into a place and you're like, how do you draw like a lamp? How do you draw this? So you can't undo that. You can't not think that way. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to be like, I don't have to, you just walk around like blah, blah, blah. You don't know any different.
All the time.
But no, like, I can tell. but a lot of times, like, you walk around and you're thinking like I said with comic books, it's like, how do I draw a telephone? How do I draw this? How do I draw, perspective? Yeah. Like, you think about everything. You think about shit differently.
For sure.
My brother, like, I could fucking have black eyes and he probably wouldn't notice, Meanwhile, I notice when, someone gets their hair cut.
Yeah.
And that's art. That is art. You can't not do that.
Yeah. A thing I realized about myself is like, I'll notice like the human presence in things. Like, so like if a ton of people walk by a wall and they just happen to bump it, there'll be like a certain like patina or like like mark making from the humans, and I'm always like, oh, that's super, like, how would I paint this random thing that humans make like no one's looking at this stupid shit. I'm just
you know what, I remember talking to my like old friends, like back in the day. I was like, I crumple up a milk carton and I worry about how it sits in the garbage can. And I'm like, why the fuck do I care about how this fucking thing sits in the garbage can? Because I care about that. I care about where things relate to each other. Right. And like, my brother, someone like my brother, not calling him out, but he doesn't think about that shit. And shots like fired. People that aren't creative don't think that way. Like we think about like, like, oh, that that little spackle of paint on the ground, it just makes me unnervy. Like, but it's like people don't think about that shit. Have you ever seen a father pushing a kid in a little fucking one of the kid buckets, the
kid bucket, that's right.
But dude, they'll fucking jaywalk, and the mom would punch that fucker in the head if he did that. But they're like jaywalking, they're doing this, they're strolling the kid through fucking jaywalking, and the kid, like the mom would punch this fucker in the head.
Right.
But meanwhile, guys are like blah blah blah. And what I realize is, like, as an artist, is a lot of people do not think that way. I'm not saying you're jaywalking with a stroller has anything to do with art, but it's how you see life.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and my wife, if we sit at like a restaurant, we want to sit near the window so we can watch the people walking by. It's like, because we want to, like, it's the cheapest zoo in the world. Yeah, exactly. we just love watching people and and their weird stances and their weird whatever they're doing. That's what we do.
No, you know what I used to do? I used to actually go. We're totally fucking. I love that we had no fucking angle on this interview or this podcast, but I love it. So I used to go with a friend. 20 years ago, we used to go sit in a grocery store parking lot. And we'd sit there and just make up stories about people coming out. Like, oh man, like that woman's going through a double divorce, like blah, blah, blah. Like we would make up stories about like, oh, that guy is like, he's buying kerosene to fucking burn his house down. Right. We would fucking make up stories because it's like, that's the thing people don't realize about art is definitely drawing. Art is, photography. Art's certain things where you get a product out of it. But what's actually to really be an artist is to live like an artist.
Right.
Like you think about things differently. You think about things, how they're arranged. You think about, like how certain things interact with each other. You think about, it's not just putting, some paint on a canvas. It's thinking about how you live life. Right. That is an artist. And a real artist, you can do some crazy shit, like blah, 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 like everyone fucking loves you, sucks your dick, all this shit. But like to live like an artist is to actually think about the real details about the smallest aspects of life that no one gives a shit about.
Yeah.
Like thinking about like how your bookshelf is arranged. I mean, it could be also OCD, but it's actually thinking about the details of life, which is actually like a way of art, is a way to live, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier about the rubbing on the walls or things like that. It's like if you see someone, I have this weird thing. There's this fucking guy I work with, right? And he takes a piss, and when he takes a piss, he puts his hand like as high as he can, and he touches the wall like a weirdo. And
does he put his pants all the way down?
He does it every time. And after like seeing him do it a couple times, I noticed that there was like above the urinal, there's a hand, like not a hand mark, but like a oil from the hand made it like greasy on like two stalls. So he never uses the middle stall. He always uses left or right.
So that's like that. That's like that caveman shit where they would do like the handprint, like the earliest art. Like you think they were like doing that handprint when they were taking a piss? Like, oh fuck, dude! Like this is art.
That's always like the thing. What if that is like? What if the whole like red handprint is some stupid story? Everyone like puts so much meaning behind it.
Oh, it is.
And you look behind, you go back in time, and you watch, and some guy just like he's doing like a fart joke, and he's just like or a poop joke. And he's just like, and he just like hits the wall like he pooped on the wall.
That's how it breaks down. You know that.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, it's like no one's gonna notice that random oil stain. No one's going to notice that, but me being a weird artist person is like, like that's a weird detail that no one
picked up on.
Yeah. But yeah.
How much time do you spend on a piece, and during that time, how many man sodas are drank?
Man sodas. I think I know what those are. Wow. Is that a Quora question?
No.
Okay.
We'll get to the choral questions.
Oh, the choral questions are going to be good. But all right, this question in general, I actually, as far as that question goes, I I think a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of artists, when you're successful in making a living at doing what we're doing for art, it also comes with a lot of really serious anxiety. And I think...
Not a burp break.
That was not a burp break. But I think a lot of people that maybe try and be up and coming don't realize that it can actually be very, very difficult to actually kind of do this like a kind of like a routine, trick, so to speak. Where it's like oh, you did a great piece yesterday. Well, it's like do it again.
Right, it's a 9 to 5 almost.
So it's your hobby becomes your job, which becomes very difficult. And it varies a lot. It varies a lot with the creation of a piece and just the emotion and like where you are in your heart when you create the piece. Because you could start a piece. And then, like 2 days later, you're like, "Fuck that! You're not in the same place." So it can be a little difficult that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I answer that question right?
So he said, "How much time you take and
how much time? Like as
many
little as I need.
Yeah.
Facts.
No, but as how much time? There's no way to gauge time because people are like, "Oh, how long did that take?" You're like, "Oh, fucking 4 hours." No, it doesn't work that way. It's like. So I worked on it for like 20 minutes and then half an hour and then like an hour.
Right.
And I get the question, how long did it take all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot gauge that because I
totally understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
How
you.
many man sodas?
Hey, bump. There we go. How many man sodas?
Yeah.
The more man sodas I have, the easier the piece gets.
So you got the least amount of time possible and the most amount of man sodas.
Yeah, tequila is also a big juice in that. Let's do Sergio. Let's do the next one.
Let's see.
What is a tequila version of man soda?
I was gonna get tequila before you fucking picked me up, you asshole.
Sorry, I gotta drive home.
Fucking drive home. There's ways of doing that. It doesn't have to be like accurate.
I was like, I can do PBRs. It's like a level above water for me.
I've got rubbing alcohol.
Beer flavored La Croix.
Yeah. All right. So what else we got?
When you're creating, do you listen to music, podcasts, background movies, or something?
So yes, I cannot. I don't know how fucking people create in silence. Like,
yeah, I don't either.
I don't fucking get that. I think everyone agrees here.
They're those
weirdos.
people eaters that we're
They're
talking
touched,
about.
dude. Those are like fucking bath salt people.
Yeah.
Those are fucking weirdos. But I have to. So we're in my studio right now, the three of us doing this interview, and I've got my drawing table set up, and I've got a TV in front of my drawing table, and a lot of times I put on a movie that I've watched a million fucking times. Like, you know how fucking Jaws ends. You're like, all right, so I can put Jaws on, or like, dude, like put on some movies and I've got a stack of DVDs or whatever, but I cannot create in silence. I need either at home, it's actually really weird. So like here, I'll watch fucking Heat. I'll watch like a bank robbery movie. And then at home, I'm watching like this like ambient music. So I'm all sensitive at home. And I'm all fucking fuck the world here.
That's funny.
But it's
does your art look different in those two?
Oh, dude. So if I draw a sexy, what I call it, if I draw an attractive woman, I need to put on like Sia. I need to put on like some sensitive music. And if I'm like drawing fucking nar shit, I'm like, all right, fucking, Casino it is or whatever the fuck,
That's awesome.
The first 48. Yeah, that sounds good. But so I need music or a movie. I'm still trying to
the concept.
What happens? There's a piece right behind you where there's a beautiful lady and some nar shit. So what did you put on to create that thing?
Oh, dude, I was wearing all kinds of getup.
That's I'm gonna guess that you will watch. What's that one movie, Hostel?
Oh,
it starts off, it's like half porn, and then it's like,
it's like the original Saw.
Yeah, and then it goes gnarly. That's. I'm assuming you were watching that while creating that piece because it started off like
I don't know what the
soft.
fuck. I don't know. I think that was a lot of whiskey. But no, I think a lot of times I've still tried to get into podcasts. Welcome to Waiting to Dry.
Shout out.
I go through.
We shouted
phases.
ourselves out.
Yep.
Yeah. That's like calling out Metallica. Like, go Metallica.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Who's
switch.
the person listening and not knowing what we are?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of them. They're all touched.
They're just like, wait, what's this Waiting to Dry thing you're talking about? Let me check it out.
Just randomly shut up on their phone or whatever. Yeah.
All right, let's get out of this point. Let's get. All right, give me another one.
Is there a link between creativity and depression?
Oh, I think it's actually like fisticuffs.
Really? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. I feel like I'm not. I don't get affected.
I'm not really
by
that person either.
You're not depressed.
No, I don't think so. Maybe I should do more research and figure out how they define it. But
Oh, dude.
but I don't think so.
I've been fighting the fucking urge to jump my entire life. How do you not do that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think I understand why I'm not, but I like, God, the idea for me is like, I grew up always super poor. And I think there's like a weird thing where if you grow up in like a weird environment like that, like you don't have time to think about shit that might make you depressed. Like there's a study that says like, that shows that poor people have way less depression because they're like,
Oh,
they're
because
too
you see like the survival aspect.
yeah, and you're just like too worried about other shit to worry about like
Really? Oh, interesting.
and so I think that kind of pertains to me is like it helped me like not think about those things. So I think you can I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so if anyone's out there suffering from depression, I don't know, but it's like I think you can kind of almost build like structures around your mind or something to kind of combat going down those dark roads.
Dude, I gotta talk to you because you're cheaper than a psychiatrist. But no, I think actually some of I'll be honest, like my best artwork comes out of a deep depression.
Damn.
I think it's actually. I mean, I'm not trying to like. I don't want people like giving me the fucking phone number to like have suicide help or any of that shit.
Right.
But I think I think for me, depression's always been a part of my life, and I think it actually helps further some pieces and make some pieces actually deeper than they might be otherwise.
Damn.
So do you think you would be less creative if you weren't depressed then?
I think my pieces would have less meaning.
Do you get a lot of people reaching out to you who kind of connect based on that? You know, like almost feeling what you're feeling and connecting.
That's a good question. I think I get people that like if I'm honestly willing to open up to somebody about my level of my mental state, I think if I talk to a similar person, I think they actually kind of find a similarity in that. But I think depression is something I've been battling my whole life, and I think it creates some of my best pieces, and I think it fucking sucks.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Oh,
Shit, this got dark. Fucking dark.
Yeah, I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have like experience with people in my life, but I know it's like that's like some dark shit for sure.
Oh, dude, it's like fucking. Yeah, I'm not gonna even make a joke. I think I'm not gonna make a joke about depression. I think it's a horrible state to live in, and I think a lot of creatives live in a level of depression, and I think it's horrible, and I think I've lived in it a very long time, and I am envious of people that do not experience that same state, not only as an individual but as a creative, and but I also think that it's actually creates I don't want to say helps, but helps create some of my better pieces.
Yeah, I mean,
Fuck,
that's
dude.
a dilemma there,
Dude,
isn't it?
she's, we need to like make a wish after this shit. Fuck, dude.
You know what I just realized right now is that
What?
your shirt says shit-faced.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it's
You
the
just
San
noticed it?
Francisco logo. And it's been bothering me the whole time because I'm like, that SF logo looks so off. The whole time I've been thinking about that, and I never looked to the right of it. I just was focused on like that SF is a little wonky.
No, it's
Does this blow apart that whole theory of artists noticing things better than
No,
other
but
people?
I was so noticing how off the symbol was that I didn't even.
I know it's all over here.
It's like it drew my eyes. So like, why is that off? Like I noticed that so much that I never looked to the right.
It's hilarious.
It's difficult. Like I get people that like it's the same thing with like I don't want to sound like an old man, but like back pain. Like I'm a big guy. I deal with back pain. People like, oh, you ever deal with back pain? You're like, oh yeah, I remember the time I moved. I'm like, fuck you. And then like people with like depression, they're like, oh yeah, my fucking goldfish died. It's like, fuck you, dude.
Right.
Like it's like people don't get it. Like
Right.
real turmoil. Like I think a lot of artists, it's a lot of it has to say with artists. I mean, I think we all experience it more so than other because you're putting you're fucking flashing your tits to the world and like everyone gets to say whatever the fuck they want, like, oh, those flabby tits or whatever, like, oh, that shitty artwork.
Right.
Like you're fucking ripping your shirt up to the world. Meanwhile, people are like,
I love the metaphor, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't pre-plan that, but it's I'm working on it.
Works great.
But yeah, it's all I think actually a lot of, I mean, fucking, like, I hate to go back on Van Gogh, but that guy could not go to a museum and touch his fucking artwork. He'd have some fucking security guard that would smack him away and say, like, back off.
Right.
Meanwhile, he's the one that put every fucking brushstroke on that motherfucking piece. And he sold one painting to his brother, and he could not, in his wildest dreams, afford his own fucking artwork.
Right.
You know? And that becomes, you talk about fucking depression and suicide with artists, you know, I fucking fight that shit all the time. It's bullshit. It sucks.
There was this on Van Gogh. There was this TV show or something. I saw a clip of it. I don't remember.
Oh, that William Dafoe, dude. I gotta watch that
Was
one.
it William Dafoe?
William Dafoe did the movie. Like, I have to
I
watch
haven't
that
seen
one.
it yet.
Oh, I gotta see that one.
But there was this. It was like a time traveling thing where they grabbed Van Gogh.
I would love to bring him back to modern day.
Yeah, and they brought him back to modern day, and he like looked around, and there was all these people flipping out about his work. And it was like this weird concept of like, wow, that's crazy to think about, that an artist who is unsuccessful living and then become something great later. How would that feel as a, you know, to see that people finally got what you were trying to do, you know, as an artist? I don't know. It was an interesting concept. I thought.
It's a very interesting concept because it's like we love to be successful in modern times as an artist and like be successful and all that and, you know, make a living doing so. But it sucks to think that your stuff isn't worth anything until you die.
Right.
Or if you make it tragic, it's even better.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And even not only that, but like, it's like, do you put any effort to thinking about legacy? I don't know. Do you?
I do. I think that's actually a really good question. I think I do, because not in a cocky way, not just kind of like, you know, my shit don't stink kind of way, but more
it does.
like,
We smelt your fart earlier.
oh dude, that railed. Holy shit, that peeled paint. But I think as far as artists go, is like it's one of the few, it's a legacy. There's a legacy behind it.
Right.
You know, and I think every artist, aside from like paying rent and like getting, getting stuff taken care of and like, you know, paying rent and all that stuff. But it's like, I think every artist wants to have like, I would love to have a piece in the Met, you know, right. As sad as it sounds like, when I'm dead, I don't care. I could be dead, but if I have a piece in the Met, I'm like, fuck, I did something, you know? And I think a lot of artists think about that, you know, but you could also have a fucking canvas in the Met that's fucking painted blue, and all of a sudden you're in the fucking Met.
Do you think there's one more valuable than the other? Like, do you think it's like, would you rather be someone who's super successful in life but then fades away after, or would you rather be a Van Gogh where they failed in life but then after they're remembered way past their life?
I'd much rather be a Van Gogh.
Huh? That's interesting.
I'd much rather, because it's like, I'd much rather be a Van Gogh in that terms of like knowing. So I would rather do like 5 really crazy pieces than like, 15 shitty pieces. Like, I'm not pulling out Van Gogh. I mean, we're using him, but it's also kind of like, I remember hearing a story where it was, it's like this, it's New York, it's all this shit. It's okay. So I remember hearing a story where you had Basquiat that would go to a club like Studio 54 or something, and he would give the doorman like these sketches on a napkin. And like the doorman was like, oh yeah, whatever, you'd throw them away. He didn't know at the time it was a Basquiat. And all these napkins are Basquiats. So those Basquiats turned into, say, $200,000. The guy didn't know it. But it's like, is it valuable because, he was, Warhol's prodigy and he did this shit? Or was it actually merit? And I don't think it's actually merit. And that's why I would actually rather put value in merit than like, fucking doing, purple circles.
Well, it's not because Basquiat, when he was doing like the graffiti things, I forget what he went by. He had like a name like Sano or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember the exact name, but
that'll be on you if you're wrong.
Yeah, edit this out. But the whole idea was that so Basquiat, if you sell one of those, if you just happen to have one of those graffiti things, like you ripped off a wall or some shit or whatever, you can sell that for a shitload of money. But that was actually created by him and his buddy, and his buddy's still alive to this day. But who the fuck knows his buddy, right?
Nobody knows about that.
But somehow these pieces are worth crazy amounts of money.
So why does nobody care about Black the Rat?
Oh yeah, I know.
Everyone's talking about Banksy, but like Black is like where it came from. Yeah. There's fucking Blacks here in SF, right. And they put some plastic over it. No one gives a shit about him. No one's ripping that shit off.
Yeah,
but that's the mentor.
Yeah, yeah. Not only the mentor, but a lot of people think just straight ripped him off.
Straight ripped him off. I mean, probably we're all gonna curse on this, but yeah, it's like he started kind of. He pulled the game plan. I mean, we all pull game plans from each other in a very sensible way. But I think he pulled that game plan from Black. And all of a sudden, it's like, I mean, Banksy, like we're going back to Banksy. Banksy's got, his ideas are better. His ideas are better. His ideas are fucking solid. And his art maybe can fluctuate in quality, but his ideas are what matter. Like I went to see a Picasso exhibit, and it's like half the stuff you're looking at, it's like if it was on the street, you wouldn't fucking pick it up. But now some fucking grandiose tells us we give a shit about it. And like, oh fuck, this is a Picasso. But if you put it by if you put it by a fucking dumpster, no one would pick it up.
Yeah, you hear about it all the time where it's like, lady buys this thing at a garage sale for $3. It's worth $5 million. And you're like, well, it was worth $3 5 days ago,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So like,
no problem.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's the same thing. Wow, we're going deep. So the same thing with like, I didn't really appreciate the fullness of Jackson Pollock until I saw his originals.
Don't you dare talk positive about Jackson Pollock.
But it created depth. But also, it's like that shit. A lot of people like, it's like who did it first. Like I could spill paint on the floor we're standing on and rip it up, and all of a sudden it's a piece of artwork.
See, I don't know. I've went on rants about this before. I don't know. Like I I don't know if I accept that argument of why Jackson. First of all, I talk shit about Jackson Pollock. I feel like every other episode. So, I mean, everyone knows why I don't like Jackson Pollock. But one of our guests called him Jack the Dripper. I was like, "Fuck, that is genius."
Jack the Dripper. Oh, that's good.
But yeah, the whole idea is like. The whole idea of doing something first as why it's valuable to me, I throw out the window, because every piece that Nate Van Dyke creates, right, is a brand new piece never created before. It's the one of a kind, first and only.
Yeah.
So it's like you're the first to ever do that. Right?
It's not a gimmick.
Yeah. So it's like, why does splashing paint on something, why is that him doing that first mean more than he's not the first person to do abstract art. He's just the first person to apply paint by dripping rather than by brush.
No, I know. And why does that make the artist a better artist? Why does that give that art value? Why is that worth more than some other artist?
This goes back to the question I was asking earlier of like, who the fuck gets to decide why something is good or not? And
that's what I'm saying. Who the fuck decides that?
Yeah.
Who says pink is the new black? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah. I mean, if Beyonce says it, I get it.
Yeah.
But if, Ariana Grande says it, then not cool, man.
Bow down to Queen Bee.
Oh shit! You showed up. Hey, you still here?
I'm just here to ask the question.
All right, let's do another question. Let's do one.
You want to get into another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hear these Coro questions.
All right.
Give me a good Coro question.
They're quick, so rapid fire questions, maybe rapid fire answers. Coke or Pepsi?
I'm a Diet Pepsi kid.
All right.
Okay.
Pizza or spaghetti?
I'm spaghetti.
Dogs or cats?
I'm a dog.
Blondes or brunettes?
Brunettes all the way.
Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse?
Oh, dude, Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse?
He literally asked all these questions.
Charles Manson or John Wayne Gacy?
Oh,
Charles Manson, dude. I'm all into that guy.
Right on. Bacon or Canadian bacon?
Oh, fucking, there's Canadian bacon?
I
Fuck
know.
that. It's
yeah,
bacon.
America.
Yeah, America.
Last time I checked.
Dude, he seriously asked all these?
USA! USA! US!
No disrespect to our Canadian listeners.
We love you, Toronto. Pancake or waffles?
I'm a waffle guy.
Me too.
R. Kelly playing a Slayer cover or Slayer covering an R. Kelly tune?
Slayer, because they'll destroy it.
Of course, yeah. And what kind of pencil do you use?
God, using like a number 2, like the old school shit. Dude, Coro asked all of those? Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
The R. Kelly one. That brings up.
Well, you had to think about that?
I think. Yeah. My brain is slowed down. You gave me too many man sodas. But the R. Kelly one, it reminds me of that piece you did of R. Kelly.
Oh, right.
Where his head chopped off.
Uh-huh.
So I did that. He got some fucking illustration award. They're like, "Oh, we want you to draw R. Kelly," and I'm like, "Okay." It's like 2008. I'm like, all right, I'll draw R. Kelly. And I found an image of him going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He had a white collar. And I'm like, oh, just like, I'll be all artsy and I'll chop his head off. Mm-hmm. So his head was separated because I didn't draw lines on the collar.
Right.
And it got some illustration word, which I forget. But I
big deal.
I also made
Legacy.
I also, I put so he had like a diamond earring.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I put a lot of work into thinking where I'm going to sign a piece. Like, oh, where should I sign this? I don't know where it looks best. So I fucking got rid of his diamond earring and I put my signature as his diamond earring. You can't read it for shit. You cannot read it, but it's like his diamond earring is my signature.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to not R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Slayer, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, he asked all those questions. He went rapid.
all in the same all in the same comment.
That's a fucking Coro for you.
Yeah. Let's see, you got a couple other questions left. How tall are you exactly, and do you draw with carpenter pencil so you don't look like you're holding a wimpy stick?
Holy fuck! And that wasn't Coro?
No, that wasn't
Holy
Coro.
shit!
That was Heathen Legs, Brandon Holt. You know?
Oh, yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
He does tattoos. Does
Yeah.
great shit.
Uh-huh.
I am 6'9", and pencils make my hand look small. I remember actually having I was with my ex-girlfriend and I was holding a beer, and she's like, "Oh, you got the small beers, like those like 6 ounces?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, it's a 12 ounce." And she's like, "Fuck!" And like I had like a normal sized beer,
Yeah.
but I do everything in my power for the most part to look small. But like Brandon's a cool guy. But yeah, he's being an asshole right now. So I'm gonna just give like a fucking bromance hug to Brandon right now. Like, yeah, give me another one.
I just now realized the 69 Nate Van Dyke thing.
No, because Nate Van Dyke was stolen, so I had to fucking put something else in it.
We went over
right.
this
I
Really?
know.
Oh, all right. I'll have to go back and
last
listen.
season. Last season.
Last season.
Let's see. Have you ever considered heightening surgery?
I actually,
Heightening surgery.
I've got actually a funny story about this. My ex-girlfriend, she got me 10 or 12 courses for yoga. Like she gave me, like, it was a gift. It was like, "Oh, you get some yoga." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." It was like for back care, like bad back or whatever. I'm like,
Right.
"All right, cool." So I did this bad back, and it was like a total misfit show because it was like short women with really big breasts. It was like tall guys. It was like fat guys. It was like the fucking
Spectrum.
total spectrum.
Humanity.
Yeah, total fucking spectrum. And I go in there and I'm doing this like shit to like, get better, like better back and all this stuff.
Quick question. How does a Nate Van Dyke yoga mat look like? Is that just like
Oh,
a huge
dude, it's like
blanket?
it's like a it looks like a aircraft carrier. It's kind of like that, but like foamier.
Yeah.
But this woman was like that was like the teacher. She's like, "How tall are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm 6'9". She's like, "Well, if you do yoga, you could be 6'10". And I'm like, "Fuck you." And it was like the last class I took. I'm like, I don't want to be any fucking taller. So that kind of answers that question.
Right.
I like it. I want to be just tall enough to get. We want to be just short enough to fit under a
Yeah,
doorway.
I got scar tissue for days. Like, fuck
Yeah.
you. What else we got?
I think this is the last one we got here, but will you come out east to do any shows or just hang out at cons so I can buy you a few beers? But the real question is, do you have any convention plans in general?
I'm kind of weird that way as far as conventions because I am terrified of people, so I don't really like kind of meeting people. I kind of like what we got going right now. The three of us is like totally cool. Still terrified by doing so. So it's like the idea of going to conventions and like being a fucking monkey at a table. It terrifies the fuck out of me. So I can't really do that. So I don't want to be a bitch, but my anxiety is too high. Hey, you want to fucking you want to hug me?
I mean, it sucks because I feel like you specifically and the whole comic book world is so
it'd be great.
it's so perfect for you just to fit in and make
But I'm terrified of people.
yeah.
I just don't like.
Here's an
people.
idea.
Oh, God,
Hire
this is gonna suck.
a Nate Van Dyke lookalike.
Oh fuck! What, Dolph Lundgren on stilts?
Be like Dolph shaves that head and
Yeah.
let's
Fuck! What, body double?
let's make some money.
Yeah. Hey, are you?
No, just pick someone that's the opposite. Like pick like a guy that's like 4 foot tall.
Are you available?
Yeah, pick me. and just I'll just shave my head. I'm like I'm nerd. I'm nerd. And just and then but yeah, we'll just make a shitload of money.
Oh, fuck! I'd love that. All right. So
Were there any more questions?
there's one more question I'd be curious about. I think I want to answer.
Let's
So
see.
it's a Dutch one.
Oh, okay. Where was it? Well, there was someone who asked if you wanted to illustrate Dutch digitally.
Yeah,
that
fuck that. I like pen and ink.
Yeah.
I don't do digital that much. I do it for color, but I don't do it for inks.
Okay. Someone who just asked, new Dutch comic, please.
Yeah, so I want to do a new Dutch comic because I've done a lot of them for Heavy Metal magazine,
Yeah.
and the thing I realized with like doing like a new Dutch comic or doing something for Heavy Metal magazine is I'm not saying anything bad about heavy metal, but it's like what you have to do is rather than actually just like, I'm going to work on this for the next fucking 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
You actually have to like, I'm just going to do like 2 pages a week. So you have to actually spread it out. So what I want to do is I want to do a Dutch story, but what I think I need to do is do like literally in the, the back of my mind or whatever is do 2 pages a week. So it doesn't feel like you're just working on that.
Right.
Like we were talking about working on a solo show,
Mm-hmm.
but so you make it like a background piece. And then before you know it, you're like, oh shit, I got like 12 pages.
Right.
So I would love to do another Dutch, but I need to make it a kind of a back project.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is Dutch like does he represent you at all?
Oh yeah. No, he's kind of like the way I look at him is, he's kind of like me. He's a very, I don't know if we can say midget, but he's a midget version of me. But he's kind of he doesn't. The way I look at him is he doesn't throw rocks, but he returns them.
Mm.
So it's kind of like that. So it's kind of like he's not out there looking for blood, but it's kind of like, he'll give it back. But I love him, and I haven't done a good Dutch story for a while, so I'm dying to do another one. I've got some stories in mind.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Dutch.
It's a fun. It'll be fun. I just need to do like 2 pages a month where I don't think about it.
I remember, I don't know, this must have been like 10 plus years ago, seeing like a couple wheat paste of Dutch.
Oh yeah, right where we went on our first date.
Oh yeah, right over
there. Yeah, Lower Haight.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, that's cool.
Yeah, I just need to do more of that. Now I just don't want to get criminal.
Yeah.
Got all the fucking toys right here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Toilet
that's
paper,
awesome.
yeah.
Toilet paper?
Yeah, well, you can't, like, the thing with, you never know if you're going to have toilet paper in the studio, so you actually have to buy your own toilet paper so you don't get fucked.
That reminds me of my graffiti days.
You shit in, like, streets and stuff?
Well, I remember I was painting with this guy, and he was like an older graffiti guy. And he's like pulling out all his paint from his backpack, and he pulls out a roll of toilet paper, and he looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and he's like, you never know when you got to shit, man.
As true as that.
And I was like,
true as that.
That is so true. Because I used to have this weird thing where, like, the second I would get to a spot, I would need to poop because it's like my nerves would just like bubble up and like, God damn, I have to poop.
You know what's
now.
actually really funny is if someone calls me on the phone, I instantly have to poop.
Really?
Yeah. If someone calls me, like, if you called me, I'd be like, oh, hey, I'll be right back. And like, and I'd just sit on the toilet and be like, and just poop. Like I have to poop when people talk to me. I don't like it. I'm actually pooping right now. It's actually pretty cool.
You don't have to tell us. We can smell it. All the paint is peeling.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you have these questions, right, Sergio?
Oh, I got my questions. Yeah.
Back on.
We're in the ninth inning, everybody.
So we went through Cora questions. Those were crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have these loaded questions that we do.
It's time for Sergio's Question Corner.
That part.
I've thought a lot about this.
Wait, is this my phone? Well, usually
questions.
What's that? No. Well, I usually do the top 5 living artists, but what I wanted to start doing with our return guests.
Throwing a curveball.
Yep.
Shit.
Throwing a curveball.
He's like, I thought a lot about this. He's like, you know what?
It doesn't matter. Fuck you.
Well, we could. I mean, if you want to get into those too.
Throw me a curveball. Fuck it. I already thought about the 5 top.
Yeah, let's do that while you look for whatever you're looking for.
All right. Yeah. So what are your top 5?
Okay, top 5. In no particular order.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go Frank Frazetta, Simon Bisley, Bill Watterson,
Nice.
H.R. Giger.
Giger?
Yeah, go Giger.
Yeah.
Isn't he dead? Did he just die?
A lot of these people are dead. Like, not like Frazetta's dead, Giger's dead, Bisley's alive, Watterson's alive if anyone knows where he is. And then what was it? So I did. Let me see again.
That's 4.
That's 4. I did. So I did Giger, and then I say Bill Larson? Yeah, I said Bill Larson. Okay. What the fuck was the other one? Those are you guys. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, fuck. Jean-Leon Jerome.
Oh, okay.
That's a heavy hitter, dude. You get in front of one of his pieces, your fucking balls melt. That guy's nuts.
So have you been in front of one of his pieces?
Oh yeah, dude. That guy,
Sorry to hear about your balls.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I don't need them. I don't plan on reproducing. But you've seen Jean-Leon Jerome's originals?
Did you see the show at the Getty Museum like 10 years ago?
No.
That was amazing.
Fuck, dude. I've seen his stuff.
You saw it, Sergio? Mm-hmm. Sorry to hear about your balls as well.
Dude, Jean-Leon Jerome is fucking nuts. Like literally, no pun intended. But like he's got one of my favorite pieces. I'm forgetting the name of the piece. It's at the Legion of Honor, and it's a black lady washing a white woman. Oh, you know that piece.
Oh, sorry. I guess my balls have melted.
Oh, right?
That piece is amazing.
That piece is amazing.
Yeah.
So that guy is redunculous. But like my two, I gotta throw in two honorable mentions. I would definitely throw in Coro and Travis Charest.
Oh, okay, right on. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Stephen Platt.
He can ask a great question, is what I hear.
Oh,
Coro.
Coro?
Yeah.
Oh, he's asked me questions my entire life.
Now everyone knows that you're a Diet Pepsi guy.
Oh shit! Yeah, I know. Oh yeah. So yeah, Coro can't eat nuts. So imagine that. No, he can't. He's actually cannot eat peanuts.
He's allergic?
Really?
Yeah, he's allergic to nuts.
Oh.
So yeah. Sorry, Coro.
Oh, well played. Well played.
Sorry, not sorry.
So this new thing I wanted to try out is that I have a list of 10 artists here. I just want you to give your quick
Oh, this is gonna be
one
bad.
word or answer, word or sentence.
What if I
answer
don't
to
know
it.
what their name is? Can we edit this
Oh,
shit?
You could pass.
You better be iconic as fuck.
Yeah, I'd say most of them are. I don't know if
Grizzly.
So Rembrandt,
Cool.
cool. John Singer Sargent,
Fucking brilliant.
Bouguereau.
Not too familiar. I'll look like an asshole.
Okay. Van Gogh. I mean, we talked about it, but Dali.
Dali is a visionary, and I think a lot of us artists currently owe a lot of our work to his vision.
Nice. Well, Picasso. We got into him.
Yeah.
Mark
But you
Rothko. What's that?
He could still answer.
Jesus.
I thought you
I
were.
like how huffy you are. Rothko is amazing. Rothko also opened doors. Yes.
Let's see. Jackson Pollock.
I think he was actually a visionary. I think it's also kind of opened up a lot of doors, but I think his not giving a fuck also is kind of on that Picasso kind of thing.
Okay. Fair enough. Shepard Fairey.
I think Shepard Fairey is, I think he modeled a lot of his stuff off of Warhol and a lot of his approach, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I think he's also a workhorse, and I admire what the body of work he's created.
Cool. And last one, Bob Ross.
Bob Ross is a fucking beast. I mean, that guy, you know what? That guy actually, someone contacted him and said, I can't paint because I'm colorblind. And he did a black and white, a grayscale painting for that person in particular. And I think Bob Ross, he's probably way too friendly for me in person because I just want to punch him in the head because he's that friendly.
Yeah.
He's so friendly, or was. But I think with Bob Ross, a lot of his stuff was actually very methodically done. I don't think it was necessarily always very unique in a way where there was no difference in a lot of his pieces, but I think he actually is one of the best teachers that ever existed.
Goat.
Yes.
Boom.
All right.
And then you have another question. Or you?
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, the David Cho money question. Yeah, what'd you do with David Cho
I was kind
money?
of jealous about this question because I didn't get to answer it. I guarantee I've been like thinking about answering this.
Awesome.
So I've known this. I've known Dave for a long time. Well before his money. He actually, I don't know if I told you guys this. He actually wanted to do. He contacted me years ago. He wanted to do a comic book. He wanted to do like this comic book, like a black and white comic book, and just print it. All these different artists print it, and he's like, "I'm gonna call that shit Donkey Punch." And I'm like,
It sounds familiar.
It
yeah,
does, yeah.
and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." It's like, I mean, I don't punch donkeys, but I'm like, sounds kind of cool. And then I like, this is like fucking dial-up internet,
Right.
and I'm like, beep, 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 beep. Like, oh, what's Donkey Punch? And you're like, holy shit, that's I know what. Okay, if you don't know what that is, Google it because I'm not gonna say it.
No, don't Google it.
But yeah, it's like goatsy. Don't do it.
Google that shit. Don't everybody believe in Google?
So I was like, all right, cool. So I did this, and he ended up not doing the comic book. And then I just ended up submitting the story to Heavy Metal Magazine. It got printed. And then another time after that, he's like, called me, like, had the, phone, practically a rotary phone. Practically.
It was Morse code.
Yeah, dude. It was like the smoke signals and shit. It was like, oh shit, Dave's calling me. But he wanted me to do a show at Levi's in downtown San Francisco. And I'm like, oh shit, I'll do it. And he's like, I don't have any work for it. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll do it. And then I had no work ready, and I did like 30 pieces in 3 days. I think we talked about this last time.
30 pieces. Fuck, I don't know.
30 pieces in 3 days, dude. I still feel it. It still sucks.
Damn.
And then he did the show after me. So he did a show after me. So I kind of, and something like 2 weeks before the opening, 9/11 happened. I'm like, oh, this is fucking great. And I'm like walking around like at the opening with a box cutter. And I'm like, this is a bad look. Like I'm just trying to give a box cutter to someone. And everyone's looking at me like I'm the one that took them planes down.
Damn.
It was a fucking horrible thing. But the thing I love about Dave is he's never given a shit. But to answer the question with Dave is, if I had Dave's money, I would actually I'd buy a studio that I've always wanted to buy a studio that I could clearly ride a bicycle around. Like a really big, not cutting corners kind of shit, but like a really big studio where you could literally ride a bicycle around. I would get actual health insurance. I do not have health insurance. It's not even that much money, but I would get health insurance. I've got what's called Dupuytren's contracture, where my hand crumples in. And I need to get like either surgery or something, and I cannot open my hand.
Oh, wow.
And this is my drawing hand too. And I know this ain't visual, but I would take care of this. I'm starting to get in this hand too. I would take care of that. And I would buy artwork. I love buying artwork. I love supporting other artists. And so that's...
Yeah, your studio's full of other people's art.
Oh, yeah. I got all kinds of stuff in here.
Damn.
I would buy that. But yeah, like seriously... Can't open my hand, I'd get
crazy.
surgery.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would do with Dave Cho money.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's brutal. That is like terrifying. I've always had this weird like.
When did it start developing?
So it's a lot of times like Dupuytren's contracture. It's like you get this shit in your hands where it all fucking coagulates or whatever the fuck that word is. It's like it all bunches up and it curls your hand in to the point you can't open it. Damn. And they end up calling it trigger finger. So you end up turning into this.
Damn.
I see.
So
for the listeners, it's like your pinky is almost stuck in the closed position. Like if he was making a fist, but he opened his hands up, but the pinky stayed closed. It's stuck in that position.
Yeah. And so if I pull my pinky apart, it's like the skin between my pinky and my palm is like, it can't breathe, so it's actually kind of fucks up. So yeah, this is so it's a lot of like Northern Europeans, and like this is starting to happen, and they call it trigger finger. So I'm gonna probably end up like this.
So can they fix it if like surgically fix that?
They basically melon ball this shit out of your hand. But the other thing that's actually fucked up is that, and you guys are both artists, it's like, okay, not only do I not have the finances to do so, or don't have the health insurance, it's like, so you essentially cannot, imagine this, you cannot draw or paint for 6 fucking weeks. Imagine that. You will fucking punch.
It's like my nightmare.
Yeah. No, so it's like, even if I had the money, it's like, oh, so I can't fucking do shit for fucking, I'm going to start being like my left foot on this shit. I'm going to start fucking like going all down on the fucking foot. But yeah, it sounds so simple, but if I had money, I would get this shit taken care of. Like that's what my hand looks like.
God, we got to start a GoFundMe or some shit.
Right, shit,
Yeah,
right?
Shit.
God damn.
Fuck. So anyway,
That is, that's heartbreaking, man. It
Is
really
that a
is.
genetic thing, or like how does it?
it's a lot of Northern Europeans. It's
crazy.
It's more so on my right hand. Starting to
I see
starting
it
to
a
happen
little
on my
bit.
left.
Yeah.
And the end result is what they call trigger finger. So this is where it will end up. Is like my hand is like I cannot move my pinky any further than that.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, can you imagine if you were like a porn star and you're like, oh, my dick doesn't work? It's like that's your life.
Yeah, I rely on my pinky so much when I paint. It's like that whole like hold it and like guide my line.
You do the
Right.
I can't even do the I can't even do the metal thing. I can't do the metal
horns.
thing.
Yeah.
I can't do the horns. I'm like
right.
oh, horns. Oh yeah, that didn't work. But yeah, like so this is probably the most depressing answer to like Dave Cho money, but like my Dave Cho money would be like, so I can fix my hand so I can work.
Fuck.
Are your pants ripped open?
Yeah, a little man.
Holy shit. Oh my God, dude. Holy
I didn't
fuck,
notice
dude.
that until now.
Wow, dude. Did you just Hulk smash those pants?
They've been like this for a while, but I'm like, I'm gonna still wear them. I'm surprised you noticed now, right at the end.
Well, 'cause I'm trying to find your defect.
And you look straight to the crotch. I like it.
Yeah, because I figured it'd be small. Oh, shit. We're all fucked.
Yeah. Well,
So what would you guys do with Cho money?
I would just buy a shitload of art and buy a house.
I would totally buy art in Fat Studio.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I would do. Travel
Yeah.
a lot. Buy a big like house / studio. Is somewhere, not necessarily maybe in California, but probably not because shit's expensive. But
Yeah.
a lot of property, a big like warehouse type studio.
Oh yeah, Dave's got like the big warehouse studio. I'm like, I would love to create artwork where it's like, oh, so the other thing I would do with Dave Cho money is I would actually stop doing like kind of like commissions and stuff that doesn't really, I mean, aside from money, it doesn't really fulfill you per se. But like, I would just be like, I'm going to start working on this, like, 70 by 140 piece,
Right.
Just go fucking balls to the wall,
Yeah, that's the other thing is I would do is try to get a shitload of murals for a shitload of amazing artists and myself. But like murals are fucking, if you can go big and have it seen by the public and get paid for it, it's like, that to me is like so good. That's like art's pinnacle, at least nowadays. It's like paint big in huge public areas.
Well, like, how the fuck does Aries do like these crazy fucking pieces? Like, they grid them all out, right?
I think so. But I remember because I would follow Aries on Flickr when he was like, before he was who he was, and he was like going into abandoned buildings and doing just like practice mural stuff in abandoned buildings. It's
Well,
like,
because I'd be terrified to go that big out of the fucking, like, just like, oh, here's a fucking 4-story building.
right,
I was like, I actually want to fuck up in like a warehouse where no one sees it.
right.
And I can like pee on it when I'm done because it sucks. But like when he does these like 4 or 5 story pieces, those have to be gridded off, right?
I believe so. And I know some people, I've heard like different things. I know some people grid it. Some people do that. What do they call it? They call it I think it's like the Drew method or whatever. That guy drew where they scribble on the wall just like so they don't have to take time gridding it. And then they take a picture of it and then they put the image they're going to draw over that scribble. And they kind of just use it like that. And then some people use projectors.
I've heard about the projectors too. Like, I mean, that's like I've heard like late night. I've heard a lot of guys like down in LA actually are doing the projection, but like they do it like late at night where, you grid it out or whatever. But like, I mean, if you want my shit to look like a fucking Picasso, give me a fucking 5-story mural because I will fucking make that shit look retarded. Like I will destroy that shit in the worst way possible.
For sure. I mean, but still, it's like I don't know. I would love to see artists get the go-ahead, I mean, they're amazing muralists, but I feel like there's so many artists that don't try their hand at huge things that it'd be cool to see.
Would you go big?
Oh, I would love to.
Really? Yeah. How big would you go? Do you think you could do it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? Damn, your balls are hanging out of your fucking pants. I think you got them.
Those melted away a while ago when I went to the Legion of Honor.
But dude, do you think you could really go big?
I would love to try.
Could you go big, Sergio?
Enough practice, I'm sure. Just building.
But you don't want people to see you fucking practice, right?
I don't know. I don't think it matters that much. You can just paint over if it sucks.
Well, you gotta paint over a lot of stuff that sucks.
I mean, I hate everything anyways. I do.
Oh my God.
It's like why?
Tell me about it.
It's like why even care? I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just like it's like the whole fishbowl idea. It's like give an artist a bigger fishbowl and see if he grows into it or not.
Right.
I don't know. I think the way we are, like the size the three of us work in, is we like to be on top of the piece, so to speak. And it's really hard when you have to like step back or like look at, go across the street and be like, what does it look like? And you're like, not good.
Yeah. I think you'd have to go to it planned out and like grid it.
You'd have to grid that stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You'd grid it and go and just like, and just kind of go planned out, but it's going to be less improvised and more that, but I don't know. I also think it's like great when I see murals that are just amazing. It's like, I look at that in a way different way than any time I go to an art show and see a piece. It's like there's something magical about that.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but I mean this in a very pure and honest way. Is I think you take someone like Nightjust. So Nightjust does these fucking crazy murals, like they're ridiculous. They're all over SF. They're all over the world, so to speak, all over the place. But I think someone like Nightjust, I think his stuff actually reads much better on a giant mural than it does on like a canvas or something small that's attainable that you can put in your living room.
Right.
Because he did a show at Upper Playground, and I'm not knocking his show, and I know he did it in a certain amount of time, and I am not trying to say anything bad about him. I love his stuff, but I think certain things read better larger than they do read smaller. And I'm not trying to use him as the one example,
right?
But I think there's certain things that actually read better like that. You could see a Shepherd Fairy, you could see an Obey that is like the size 4 stories, and it reads so cool, but does it read as well as like a little tiny poster or something?
Do you think that there is a reverse to that? Do you think there's someone whose small stuff looks great small, but if they went that size, it just didn't work out well?
I think it's more of an illustrative thing than the graffiti thing, like a spray paint thing. So say someone like me that does a lot of tiny ink illustration, I don't think that would in any way look good per se, like on a mural, like a Nightjust or something like that.
Right.
I think his stuff works great on a large scale, and my stuff may work better on a smaller scale.
Yeah,
And I'm not talking art dirt, but I'm saying like with spray paint you get a blur of the lines, but with ink is you're creating, with a lot of my work being ink, is you create an imaginary thing called gray, which does not exist on black and white. So you create the imaginary. But I think the spray paint that someone like Nitro's does looks amazing on a large scale, and I think that's how something like that is meant to be seen.
But you've painted, you've done like mural stuff.
Oh, I'm
right?
terrified every fucking time I do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm fucking terrified, dude. Seriously.
Huh.
Seriously,
That's
my fucking balls turtle.
But you lost those a while ago when you saw them.
Oh yeah,
they
dude. Oh man, I sold them on eBay. They didn't get much.
That reminds me. I don't know if you want to go into it at all, but you talked about eBay earlier.
Yeah. All right, let's bring it.
Yeah. Someone, you said you saw your work on eBay where someone was flipping your art.
It's interesting because like I don't have a Wikipedia. Like Wikipedia doesn't know about me, but so to speak. But like it's interesting with someone like something like eBay is when you start to see your stuff on eBay, you're like, oh shit, cool, I made it. I'm flossing, like I'm doing good. And then you start thinking like, that dude's asking that, and I sold it to him for that. And you start to get like a little cagey about it. You start to get a little mad about it, and then you're like I'm on eBay. I like that I'm on eBay, but you're also kind of like, wow, dude, you just like fucking made a profit on this shit. But it's also it's a weird thing where you feel like you got used, but you also in a flip way you feel relevant, because I knew a guy that would like flip Banksy Shepherd Ferry posters. And they like Shepherd Ferry poster would come out every week and people buys it, and then you fucking eBay Shepherd Ferry and he's all over the fucking place.
Right.
So there's people that like buy it to keep it, and there's people that are like, I'm gonna fucking buy this shit real quick within the first minute, and I'm gonna fucking flip it for a profit. So it's a very interesting dynamic to actually be eBayable, but also like to realize like that makes the eBay actually makes you kind of relevant in a weird fucked up way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it makes
You know?
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that people are willing to spend more money on your work, in a way, it's like, well, that's great, because hopefully that transitions to you.
Yeah, hopefully I make more money.
Yeah.
Right.
Not usually the case.
Maybe you should start an eBay account and start flipping.
I'll flip my own shit.
Your own
I'll
shit.
flip my own shit.
Yeah. Why not?
Damn, that's awesome.
Ugh.
Well, I think we're pretty much
Right.
we
just
did
hit
it.
2
I
hours.
think we did it. I
Fuck.
think you guys are gonna have some editing to do.
Sergio.
Yeah, pointing fingers, not looking.
But yeah, thank you, man, for doing this.
Yeah, is there any last?
Well, here's a question that we talked about last episode that I've been kind of like chewing on for a while, but it's just an interesting question. It was actually asked by our guest, but he asked, if you had 5 years to live, how much art do you think you would create?
If I knew, that's a really good question. If I knew
I wish I thought of myself. Shout out to Ian.
if I had 5 years, you know what? It's actually I did not know about this question beforehand. If I had 5 years to live, and there's two ways to this. If finances were not a problem, I would basically spend 5 years on one piece.
Huh.
I would actually go out with a motherfucking bang.
What if right around year 4.5, you're like, God, I kind of don't like this piece.
Well, I'd go on the fucking, I'd take a fucking stroll on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, that's dark.
But no, I mean, I'd only walk halfway. But like, but no, I think it goes back to the Dave Cho question, where it's like money's not a problem. So I would just actually go balls to the fucking wall and be like, throw up the big middle finger to the world and be like, this is me, rather than like bang out a bunch of smalls. Like I don't mind banging out smalls, but I want to bang out big shit. I want to bang out shit that actually might last.
See, I just talked to you about murals, and you're like, I don't want to do that, and then it's like,
Well, no, because murals are like spray paint. I'm not a whiz with the spray paint. You know, I could do a drawing that's like 10 feet by fucking 5 feet and do it ball pen or whatever. But like, I can paint and do stuff like that. But I'm not a wizard with the spray paint.
well, you can do like brush stuff, right?
Yeah, and then you know what I've done outside lands, and I'm like doing spray paint, and like I've got a fucking 1/4-inch brush, and I'm doing like highlights, and then you step back, and you're like, "The fuck did I just do?" Like nobody's gonna notice this,
Right.
You know? So that's what I run into.
Yeah, I could see that. Huh? So you would paint for 5 years?
If finances were not an issue, and I could just be like, I'm gonna fucking check out in 5 years, I would literally probably do a fucking 10-foot by 20-foot piece.
I like it.
So if you've got any buyers out there, I'm gonna die in 5 years, so let's do this.
Yeah, when you start seeing Nate work on this piece for a couple of years, it's huge.
By the
You're
way,
like,
5 by 10. Let's talk.
you're like, oh shit.
Slide in my DMs.
Well, that was dark as fuck.
Yeah, that's what we do here.
But yeah. Did you have something you wanted to do?
Oh, the last question somebody asked was, why did you take so long to come back and do a part 2? I don't think that was your decision.
That was, I think that's actually you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I get a lot of anxiety about doing stuff like this, about doing like podcasts and like interviews and stuff like this. And I'll be honest, I get really nervous, and I pregame a little bit, have a couple beers and a couple shots, and kind of like, you know, slow my roll. And also, I think as an artist, you start to wonder if people even give a shit about what you're saying. Like, I'm not trying to be important. I'm not fucking Stephen Hawking. Like, I'm not like, oh, fucking listen to what I say. Fucking the world's gonna end. So you start to wonder if, like, when we do this, like, you're doing it because we're fun, we're hanging out with friends,
Right.
but you start to wonder if people actually really give a fuck about what we're doing. And like, I mean, to be totally straight, like, do you actually want to hear this stuff? I don't know. Like, do I want to hear you talk? Probably not. You know, like, I'm just wondering.
Right.
So I think part of the reason it took so long is you guys asked me to do it again, and I'd be happy to do so. But I'm also kind of like, I don't know if people really enjoy this stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know everyone liked your last episode, and
That was a shit show. Fuck, I wish I'm not telling you where I buried that guy, dude. No word on that.
but his head's in your freezer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think people enjoy it, especially like, you know, someone like you who's been in the art career, in the art game for 20 years now. It's like everyone's trying to find, you know, some kind of either validation in their work, or just kind of maybe a gem of some kind of clue how to,
so they don't feel alone.
Right.
You know, and I think there was another guy that asked a question like, how did you get your start? And to answer that question, it's like, there's no guarantee on how you start this art shit career, whatever the fuck it's called. But a lot of it's not, like we were talking about, you know, Picasso and stuff like this. It's not always based on like talent. It's not based on always drawing the best Batman.
Right.
But it's a lot of times it's the right time, you know, right place, right time. And I think to answer that person's question is like, I used to go to comic book conventions a lot and sling my stuff at, you know, artists, try and get attention. And it was difficult. It's actually really, there's no right or wrong way to get noticed. It's difficult as all fucking hell.
Yeah.
Like there's no guarantee that, you know, you go to art school, it doesn't mean you're an artist.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be like a dick, but it's like, you're not, it just because you get a degree, you could be a veterinarian, but it doesn't mean you're going to be, you're going to go be an artist.
Right.
You know, I mean, we struggle with this shit as it is.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah. I mean, fuck, I was going to add something that I totally just drew a blank.
Mayonnaise.
But But fuck, I totally drew a blank. God damn it.
But you went to. I mean, you've been through the grinder.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. 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 What I was gonna say is the whole idea of like the attention, right? You said earlier, like getting attention for your work. My only like suggestion is make sure you're like ready for the attention when you get it.
Sucks.
Because,
it's weird. It's actually really fucking awkward.
Yeah, and not only that, but your work wise, it's like make sure you're ready to like present yourself, because if you realize if you're like a fake it till you make it kind of scenario in as far as skill level in your work, you might find yourself on the other end like, I have nothing to say, nothing to add to this conversation, and now all these eyes because I marketed well or something like that. I did something.
Because I think your art, the way I look at art is that art has to actually, like, you can draw a really fucking cool Batman, but like you could draw a Batman on top of a fucking, building and all this shit. But if you draw like Batman in like, a gutter, like basically like holding the pearls that his mom or whatever, like it has to say something.
Right.
Like art has to say something. Like I see a lot of times with your guys' art, you do these arrows in this, and it's this attack. It's like you put your own meaning on it, but it doesn't, not everyone else has to read into your guys' artwork.
Right.
Right.
But there's still something behind it. It's not like, it's like, oh shit, here's boobs. It's not that. There's something so much more behind it. And the thing with art is like, I don't care what you draw. I don't care if it's fucking anime. I don't care if it's, giraffes, this, that, the other thing.
Or horses.
Fuck you.
Horses and cats and
dogs and children.
Children.
Fucking hate them. Hate them all. But you have to actually put some meaning behind it.
Right.
Like
For
if
sure.
you've got meaning behind it, like it says something.
Yeah, I think so. And I think it also reads if there is nothing behind it too. It's like you can kind of, I don't know, like at least for me, it's like a little boring. Usually if there's nothing
it's
behind
boring if
it's like it's technically good, but
it's like I'm not like there's artists that I admire that everything seems very routine. And I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not saying any names or anything, but I'm saying it's like if you're not, like, I could draw a chimp with a chainsaw fucking one time after the next. And it gets to a point where it's like, okay, cool, chimp with a chainsaw.
right.
But you get to a point where you actually have to like, you want to express a message. Even if the masses don't actually appreciate or understand or see what you're saying.
Right.
You're still in your heart saying something.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think in some way that people pick up on that, even if they're not picking up on what you're saying, they kind of can like feel that there's something behind it.
There's a meaning behind it.
Yeah.
You're not just like, oh shit, a chimp with the chainsaw or whatever the fuck it may be.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for doing
All right.
this.
Hey, thank you. High fives all around, low fives, whatever the fuck.
Really appreciate
there we
it.
go.
This has been Waiting to Dry. If you're still listening,
My God, you get rid of those jeans.
fuck off.
That's fucking great. That was awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Shit. Easy. That was fun.